All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another webinar from AMC Banking. We're here today to shed some light on one of our new treasury features released recently. Remember, you're always free to ask questions in the chat, and I'll try to answer them as best as possible in the presentation. My name is Frederick Larsen. I work as a technical sales consultant here from AMC Banking. I work day to day with pre-sales and designing technical solutions for our customers. And the reason we're here today, of course, I'm also very involved in communicating these new features to our clients and partners. So the topic that we have today is called sweep pools. At its base, it's an automated way to move money between your own accounts. So today is all about internal transfers and how to manage these in an easy and automatic way. So basically what I'll show you today is how to create sweep pools in your AMC Banking and how to manage your internal transfers in an easy way, whether it's for zero balancing, meaning emptying your accounts, whether it's for covering deficits on some of your accounts, or moving any excess cash into a centralized pool. Let me add my finance and operations here and maybe move me down here. All right, so before we jump into the sweep pools, I'd first like to show you some of the updates that we have done to our cash flow forecast. So I did a webinar earlier this year where I showed our first iteration of our cash flow forecast. And of course, since then, we've received some feedback from our users and requests for new functionality. And recently, we've released a lot of new improvements to the forecast that I'd like to quickly just run through before we jump into these sweep pools. First of all, when you open your cash flow forecast, you can now see a new level of information. This is a picture here where you can see the forecasted bank balance across the different dates, but between all of your bank accounts. So where before we opened the more detailed picture of a specific bank account and you can switch between them, now you can also see the forecast across your different bank accounts. And of course, you can still dive in to each of the specific one to show more information of the forecasted bank balances. Another thing we have done is to introduce data entities, both to the entire forecast table and also to the cash flow forecast setup. If you followed the last webinar, we actually had some questions regarding this. Is it possible to import transactions or data from external systems to be used in the forecast? And now it is. You can export the entire forecast into Excel if you prefer to use tools like Power BI to visualize some of the data. And I think more importantly, the cash flow forecast setup where I can create these manual transactions that's reflected in my forecast. This is now also a data entity. And that means it's really, really simple now to synchronize data from external systems. So for example, if you have credit cards, incoming transactions, something similar, well, you can create a data entity, export the data to Excel, and synchronize this in to be reflected in your forecast. Really, really nice feature, I think. Apart from that, we've also added a way to dive more into the specific transactions. So before we just had the summarized amounts shown in the forecast here, and now if you find a difference between your forecasted bank balance and your actual bank balance, well, now you can actually dive into the numbers. We've taken a page from the the trial balance of finance and operations here to show you all these transactions, and you can now dive more into the numbers and see, okay, well, why is there a difference between these two amounts? And of course, one of the most requested features that we received, both in our last webinar, but also since then, when talking to clients using this system, is that we have introduced a logic to determine payment patterns. That means if customers are expected to pay later than their due date, we will actually now correctly reflect this in the forecast. So this is both for customers, where we sort of give them this customer score in a sense, and track their payment patterns, and then correctly reflect that in the forecast. So if a customer usually pays 1 or 2 days too late, all right, we will make sure that the amounts is expected to be received there in the forecast. And the same is of course true if you yourself is usually paying after the due date of the invoices. There are some other small improvements as well. We've introduced things like internal transactions done through AMC Banking to correctly reflect these as well. So I really think our forecast has gotten really, really big improvements since the first iterations that we sent, that we released and that was presented last. So I urge you, of course, to start using it. And if you have any more feedback, we'd be really, really happy to hear it. We want to provide as much value to you as a client as possible. Now, the forecast, of course, is meant to provide as correct information as possible so that you can forecast the bank balance in the future. So you can say this forecast window is what gives you the information or the expected information of the future. But where you can really take action on this information is in our sweep pools. So I mentioned before, a sweep pool, it works by creating these rules for balances in the system. It's super, super simple to set up. I mean, I have prepared something here, but I could just as easily have created it in the webinar here. It's very easy to get started. It follows a really, really simple way of thinking, but the end result can be really, really advanced and powerful. So a sweep pool, as what I have created here, always have a master account registered, and it has sweep pool members. Note that I can create many sweep pool members, of course, and if I want, I can create multiple different sweep pools. So let's go through some of these fields. I'll tell you what it is and how to set it up, and then we can actually try to generate some of these sweeping proposals. So first of all, my main master account here, it has a bank balance. That's the actual bank balance that there is on this this bank account. I have the option to set up a minimum and maximum balance. I've personally effectively removed this by adding some really, really large numbers to my minimum and maximum. But it might make sense if you have your own rules that your bank account here should not go beneath a certain amount, then we should stop covering excess or covering deficits on our members. Or maybe you only get specific interests up to a certain amount. So over this amount, it wouldn't make sense to move cash into this bank account. Me personally, I've just set it to really, really large numbers, which effectively means that I don't care about the balance of this master bank account. I want to either sweep money up to it or cover deficits down to my sweep pool members if I want. We have a field called threshold amount. And what this means is that we only want to do a sweep. We only want to move transactions between the accounts if they're above a certain amount. I've set it to 100. That means that if I had an excess of cash of 99 on one of my bank accounts, we wouldn't actually move it up because it's the amount is too low. So it's a minimum transfer amount that we want to move, and it's included to, maybe there's a fee for doing the transaction, and maybe not having this would result in a lot of different very small transactions on your bank account, which kind of crowd your bank statement. A really important selection for me is my whether it's a one-way sweep or a two-way sweep. So if I select a one-way sweep, that means that the cash flow will only move up to my master bank account. So if I have a one-way sweep, I should set a maximum amount of each of my different bank accounts. And as soon as their balance exceeds these amounts, okay, we'll move the excess cash up to the master account here. So one-way type, then payments will only move from the members up to the sweep pools here. Sorry, to the master account. If I have two ways, then I'm asked to both decide on a maximum amount for the balance and a minimum as well. What that means is that if there's a deficit too small a balance on any of my bank accounts, my master account up here will be used to cover this deficit. So if we run through these three bank accounts that I have created as members, then we can see that my first bank account has a balance of 20,656, but a maximum of 10,000 is set. What that would mean is that we would move 10,656 up to my master account. The two other bank accounts has a smaller balance than their minimum balance. And that means that there's a deficit on these accounts. If I ran the sweeping proposal with two ways, then we would also propose that we make a payment from our master bank account down to the sweep pool members to cover these deficits. Good. The forecast horizon here will look at our cash forecasts, meaning it will say we should not only use our balance of today, but we should actually look through the next couple of days and see if there will be either an excess or a deficit, and use that forecast to either move money from my master account or to my master account. Great. As you can see, it's extremely simple to set up. The rules are very simple and easy to understand. And this is not something that would require a lot of thought to set up. Now, all there's left for me to do is actually to generate a sweeping proposal. If I press this button, we come into a new window where I can see the expected transactions that will actually happen. So I can see that we're creating some internal transactions from a bank account to a bank account. Some of them we're moving money to the master account, and some of them we're paying from the master account. Down in the bottom, we can see the forecast of these specific bank accounts that are included in my proposal here. And that means it's also easy for me here to get an overview. Well, would I actually need this cash anytime in the future, in a week or so, do I need it here? And then I can make the required changes if I want to lessen the amounts or add to the amounts to cover any potential deficits that there is in the future. And really, the only thing that is left for me is to create my payments. If I create my payments, you get a old-fashioned payment journal. We pre-fill things like the description, that this is a sweeping transaction, and any payment types or anything else that might be required can be selected. So as simple as that, you have created rules in the system and utilized this functionality for us to calculate, well, based on these rules, how much money should we move back and forward in order to get to the balance that you have set from your members. One thing that might be important to add here is, of course, this can also be done across different banks. So, you know, most banks offer something called zero balancing or cash pooling as well. But we're in a very unique position that if you have multiple banks, we can actually do this across different banks. Keep track of the different balances and pool your money at whatever your master account is. Doing internal transfers with AMC Banking, of course, also means whether you do them manually or whether you use our sweeping functionality here, but it also means that each of these transactions will be posted automatically, or at least when they come back on your bank statement, we will match and settle them automatically with a posting proposal, which is either based on search strings if you have intercompany accounts, or it could be a direct with a bank-to-bank posting. Great. As with all of our new treasury features and basically most features in AMC Banking, you can see in the release notes that we set out. Let me just open it up here. Our release notes comes with some really, really good user guides. For those of you who haven't checked them out, I really recommend doing so. There's some different, very specific user guides based on whether it's the logic for how we determine payment instructions or how to set up bridge posting or something of the likes. And of course, there is one for this cash sweeping as well. And most importantly, we show some really, really nice examples of how it would act in different scenarios. So I really, really recommend checking that out. You all have access to it. If you have AMC Banking, our release note package is also included. Great. Okay, so yeah, in my view, I mean, this really binds together the rest, right? It's the last piece of the puzzle that fits so well together with our forecast in our version of our little treasury suite. So I recognize, I mean, this webinar was quite fast, but of course, this is more than anything a testament to this fact that we aim to make simple setups, right? It shouldn't be complicated. You don't need tons of parameters to create value, and this is really, really what we aim to do here at AMC Banking, making powerful features that's easy to use and easy to set up. As always, we're really dependent on user feedback. If you have any questions, you can always reach out directly to me, or if you'd like to know something more in depth about how it would work, we'd be really, really happy to take this meeting with you. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat, so I will take that as a we do have a questions actually. What would a use case be for sweep pools? Well, really it allows you to take control of these cash positions, right? You can, with our functionality, share bank accounts or cash pools across different legal entities. You can decrease things like bank loans and increase things like interests. So really, it's a matter of taking control of your cash flow in general. And a lot of clients do this already, right? They try to determine, well, what money do we need to move around between our own bank accounts? But the functionality that we've created here just make it so much more automatic and simple to use. We have a few clicks, and then we can have many transactions across all our different bank accounts moved out. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Always a pleasure. I will see you at the next webinar, where I think the next topic will also be treasury related. Okay. Thanks.